Didn't jump on our slide deck yet, you can go ahead and jump on using this bit.ly over here. But we just wanted to start with kind of posing a question like, have you ever, just to think about, have you ever like been posed with the challenge of integrating computer science either cross-curricularly or into your classroom and felt a little stuck? We know at one point the three of us were there, and this ambassadorship, along with things we've learned along the way, have really helped us and given us more confidence in computer science and classroom integration. So we'd like to tell you our story just about that journey. And we wanted to really thank you for, being with us for about the next hour as we go through our journey with you together. So that being said, we will begin our presentation of computer science and the classroom.
So we're going to start by sharing who we are. I'm Nikki Cowling. I'm currently teaching fourth grade at Newport Heights Elementary in Bellevue, Washington. I've been teaching for the past 19 years, gen ed classroom. I've taught third, fourth, and fifth grade. Fourth is my sweet spot. It's my favorite so far. And I'm really passionate about equity and student engagement.
Oops, sorry.
My name is Nicole Kwan. I also am a teacher in Bellevue, Washington. This is my 16th year teaching. I've taught mainly primary grades, kindergarten and first grade, mostly kindergarten general education. Our school is an inclusion practice school, so there's lots of integration with students with high special needs. As a kindergarten teacher, my passion is just really encouraging students to love learning and believe in themselves and see themselves as capable learners. I also teach at a school that has very big ends of the spectrum. So I have students who are in temporary housing, and I also have students who come from a very affluent background. So it's really bridging that gap for me and making sure that computer science and technology is accessible and equitable for all students.
Hey, and I am Chrissy Barrett. I teach at Mililani Mauka Elementary School, which is located in Mililani, the island of Oahu, state of Hawaii. This is my 20th year of teaching, during which I've had experience in grade K and K inclusion. I think that's where my heart really is. I really just love teaching kindergarten inclusion. So I did that for about 10 years. I also had different resource positions, technology integration, library resource. And this is going on my 6th year, I've been the technology coordinator. And about 5 years ago, I took on the computer science implementation lead, since our state put computer science on the report card. And I've really enjoyed challenging myself to do something different, learning about computer science education, and trying to provide equitable access to all students, to give them computer science education.
So we'd love to hear from you. If you could just open up your chat, we'd love for you to tell us where you're from, and if you can, a picture of your favorite computer science engagement activity. If you can't think of one on the spot, it can be any sort of character that you love. So I'm going to model for you in the chat. I say Nikki from Washington State. And I'm going to put a picture of Minecraft Steve. My kids really love working with Minecraft education, so I have him ready to share with you. But again, it can be any animation that you like. It can be Super Mario Brothers. We just would love to hear from you and know who's with us today. Hi, Craig. Thanks for joining us. Craig, where's Beechwood High School? What state are you in? I'm just curious.
Ohio, outside of Cleveland.
Oh, thank you. Thanks, Chrissy, Sphero Bolt, and Indie Robots. Yes, my kids love Indie also. Again, we're just putting where you're from, a picture of your favorite computer science engagement activity if you can. We're just keeping it light and just wanting to say hello. Oh, that's so, hi, Seneca. That's so cool.
Oh, I love those mice. They're so
Pixel art.
fun.
I love that.
That's awesome.
Hi, Nicole, Indian Scratch, Suman, thank you for sharing microbits from California.
Microbits are awesome too.
Oh,
All right.
Zoa, sorry, Zoa, I see yours from St. Paul. Thanks for adding that picture too. That's
Yeah,
so
cool.
cool that you had that ready.
Oh, paper pixel art. I'll have to look into that.
Yeah. Justin, you're in the right place. You're in the hands of elementary educators. We are here to guide you. Thank you for being here with us. Yeah. Anyone else, if you happen to come in and you want to drop your name in the chat, this is a welcoming space. We are here to have fun. Hi, Anastasia. Thanks for joining us. I think you can go ahead to the next
Okay.
slide. So, as you know, I teach fourth grade in elementary school. And so we thought for a little inclusive warm-up, we're going to play a game called Are You Smarter Than a Fourth Grader? So you will not need anything. You just need your brain power. I'm going to give you some prompts and I just want you to think on your feet. So the first question is, pick a number in your head between 1 and 10. Multiply that by 9. You're going to add the digits together. So for example, if you have 18, you'd add 1 plus 8. If you had 9, you'd add 0 plus 9. So keep that in your head. Whatever that number is, I want you to subtract 5. Now turn that number into a corresponding letter of the alphabet. So for example, if your number was 1, you'd be A, 2 would be B. Hold that letter. Now quickly think of a country that begins with that letter. Go ahead and change the slide. And last quick thing is think of an animal that begins with the last letter of that country. And then one more thing. Go ahead. Did you come up with an orange kangaroo from Denmark? Thank you, Zoe. If you did not get an orange kangaroo from Denmark,
Oh my gosh.
we as
So
elementary
fun.
school teachers don't want to
Yeah.
play with you. You can go and play with the
Yeah.
high school and the other people, but in elementary school, we want you to know that this is actually like a cognitive trick. The point wasn't really to test your math skills or anything, but our brains kind of process in a system 1 or system 2 trap. System 1 is your immediate response without really thinking it through. So 98% of people, when given these prompts, and if you notice, they were like kind of on the fly. You have to quick, like I'm kind of putting the pressure on you. 98% will come up with an orange kangaroo from Denmark. And again, if you thought of, Djibouti or Dominican Republic, we don't want to play with you. We're elementary school here. We're here to have fun. But there's other tricks that work under that kind of umbrella of cognitive defaults. Another one is if you say, quickly name a tool and a color, 90% of people will say red hammer. And it's because hammer is like the most common tool and red is like the loudest color. And our connection to computer science is, often when we're teaching our students, they want to go immediately to their system 1 thinking, like, what's the first answer I can think of? But in computer science, we're here to solve problems. We're here to think things through. And so we hope this warm-up will encourage you to, think about things in different ways and explore other opportunities and other avenues.
All right. Thank you for that, Nikki. Okay, so I'm kind of getting into like the why of our presentation. We kind of talked about like our preparation for teaching computer science. And we did some research, and these two studies kind of found that in 2020, of 150,000 newly certified teachers, only 82 received certifications in computer science. And then another journal found that teacher education programs and pre-service teacher pathways do not often offer CS coursework and content. So that's just kind of like the overview research. But when we talked amongst ourselves, we also have personal experiences on, how much training we received in our teacher coursework to be able to feel prepared to teach computer science or even digital literacy. And I know my teacher coursework was a very long time ago, so computer science was maybe obsolete at that time. I don't know. But when I was in my master's in education 20 plus years ago, I had no training in computer science, no training in how to teach even digital literacy or even in technology integration. So everything that I learned when it comes to integrating computer science into the classroom or teaching computer science standards to students has either been self-taught or through professional development. And it took me, I would say, 3 or more years of computer science instruction with students to actually feel somewhat comfortable, like I was not doing them a disservice. And it took 4 to 5 years for me to feel comfortable sharing it and teaching it to teachers. So it's definitely been a journey.
Yeah, I had no formal training in computer science. We have in our district, district-led professional development courses. But again, you have to choose, like, do I want to learn the new science curriculum that we have, or do I want to do computer science? And it's almost treated like an elective. Like, if you have the time, if you're not new to the district, if you already know the curriculum, then you can take more time to kind of learn more about other opportunities in computer science. But it really is like kind of an afterthought and on your own time. A lot of times workshops are just led by teachers, like kind of grassroots style. Like, if you want to learn, I'll come and show you. But it really is kind of up to the teacher and up to the time that they have, if they have that time to invest in really leading their class in computer science activities.
Sorry.
No,
I was
that's
like listening to you. I forgot to
You're
see the
good.
slide.
Yeah, so just to add on to what's already been said, I'm nationally board certified in early literacy, but my experience with computer science and getting all of my education and training has been self-directed, has been self-motivated. So as mentioned previously, these weren't required courses, but courses that I seeked out in order to help myself become more proficient in computer science and delivering it to students. As an early educator teaching kindergarten, which I saw in the chat, there was some talk about how do we do this more with our younger students. I think the biggest hurdle for me has been finding things that are offered at a young age. I think a lot of times what's coming down from bigger developers is that kind of knowledge that, oh, well, this isn't tailored to 5 or 6-year-olds, when really they can do that. And so it's been doing different workshops, working with this great team of individuals that I've met, and also a lot of teacher collaboration into how I can integrate computer science into our current curriculum to make it successful for my kids. So what we would love for you to do is in the chat, if you could put what's your experience with computer science and technology classes, that you have or had maybe growing up in education. And it's okay to say none, or, similar to what we've experienced as well. None. Thanks, Craig. No teacher experience as a kid, only as a teacher, but yep. How to teach yourself. High school days. Yep.
Hey, me too.
Me too.
I think the Oregon Trail was the best game when I was growing up in Justin,
Carmen San Diego.
I forgot about the trail,
Yeah. Self-exploration.
All right. Thanks. Thank you for answering, guys.
So based off of the research, our personal experience, hearing from a lot of different individuals, our goal is how can we have it that computer science is more equitable by integrating it into already our core curriculum that we have. Also, how can we empower teachers to become more confident in teaching computer science? Personally, I've seen the biggest hurdle is just that first step of actually trying it. Because when you hear the word computer science, I feel like it can become very overwhelming. And so hopefully today you'll learn a few tools that maybe you didn't know that you can integrate and already start implementing into your classroom. Another thing that I forgot to mention with personal experience is given that, Nikki and I are both in the Pacific Northwest, you would think that being surrounded by Microsoft and Amazon and Google and Meta, that we would have access to resources. And our district, because of budget cuts, just cut all computer science teachers at a grade school level. So, it went from having a full-time teacher to a 0.5 teacher to now it is all on general education teachers to be teaching computer science in the classroom. And since it's not a requirement to be doing so, that equity piece is truly, I feel like, going to be getting a bigger gap, because without teachers having the confidence to do it and not the requirement or the support of a staff member in the building to help you build that confidence, I think the fear is that that's the first thing that's going to drop in the day, because there's just not the resources unless you're teacher driven to do so for your kids. So that's one of the hurdles that we are seeing as well. So one of the programs, not sure if people on this call might be aware of, is Scratch Junior. I love this. There's also a program, Scratch, which is more tiered for the older students. Scratch Junior is a great entry-level program for students to practice coding, particularly in our primary grades. It is very user-friendly, has great graphic for kids. It's super engaging, helps teach coding left to right for students, and helps them build a better conceptual understanding of computer science concepts. You will get a chance in just a few minutes to play around with Scratch Junior and see what it's all about. I've found that the first time I was introduced to Scratch Junior was by one of my own students. I had a little boy who is on the autism spectrum. This is 4 years ago. I wasn't even aware of Scratch Junior. And we have one-to-one devices. And so he would earn different apps times on his iPad, and he was doing Scratch Junior. And I had no idea what he was doing. And I was watching this student who was pretty much nonverbal, be able to communicate with me through using Scratch Junior, through coding, be able to show his knowledge, his understanding of ideas. And it was pretty incredible. So when I was able to learn more about Scratch Junior and how I can make it accessible to all my kids, it's been an amazing tool that I feel like has really opened up my eyes to be able to give those students who are MLL students who maybe don't have the language and vocabulary, or students who are nonverbal, maybe there's some fine motor that they're still working on, a different tool for them to be able to share their understanding and knowledge, and can easily be integrated into other subjects, which I'll show you some examples here. So, simple addition example. So students are showing me, okay, I have 2 fish, I had 3 more. My total is now that I have 5 fish. So instead of writing that on a piece of paper, they're able to use coding to be able to show me their understanding of very simplistic addition story problems. We can go to the next one.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're good. In kindergarten, we were learning about weather. So students are able to show their understanding of different seasons, where you might be in different seasons. I can't remember if there's any audio in the one that the students did for this, but the kids are really having a really great time of being able to also add their own voice. So in Scratch, you'll see that kids can add a microphone and be able to talk. You can hear them in the background through a video of that. And then my last one is we last year started a new literacy curriculum where we're learning about ecosystems. And so this was a great way to kind of take the end of our unit and have them code their understanding of a savanna ecosystem. And I first had students draw a picture of a savanna ecosystem, and then they were able to do coding to show their understanding. I actually taught Mrs. Cowling's twins last year, so they were able to do that with me, and it's just been a really fun and engaging way to bridge that gap between literacy and computer science and math and computer science and science and computer science. So right now we are going to give you a few minutes to browse within Scratch Junior. And Chrissy, did we drop these links in the chat? Okay.
Well, they can, if they connected to the that bit.ly in the beginning,
Canva.
Yep,
Yep.
they can, these are all links on the Canva, but if not, we can put it in the chat too. I'll put it in the chat right now.
Perfect. So if you want to take the next about 5-ish minutes and just browse a little bit within Scratch.
I think let's give everyone the chance, Justin, to like turn off your camera. You can like browse at your leisure, and then let's come back at 4:20. See you back at 26 in whatever time zone you are. We'll see you in 5 minutes.
Perfect.
We can come back. Hopefully everyone had some time to look through Scratch Junior, and those links that Nicole shared also have like resources and stuff. So if you have questions about what the blocks do and stuff, you can look at that, some of those links. Sorry, go ahead, Nicole.
No, yeah. Did anyone learn anything new they want to share? Have a chance when they're browsing?
I mean, I thought it was really interesting. It's sort of my first like introduction into coding, and so it's probably at my level, I would say, in terms of learning about it. But yeah, it was really interesting. Like I was clicking around in there and found like sort of a little self-tutorial, or kind of tells you what each block does. It was really interesting.
Oh,
Awesome.
good. Yeah, it's pretty cool. The kids, you kind of just give them a little bit of instruction and they like totally run with it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's neat. Yeah, just looking at like Nicole's and seeing what you could get kindergartners to do is pretty incredible. That's awesome.
Yeah, we've also used it for teachers on here as a way to do for buddy classes. So have some of our older kids paired up with younger kids, paired up with an older kid, and be able to do some coding together, and really helping those older kids learn the difference between a driver and a navigator. So they don't get to touch, but they get to help give instructions orally to a younger student, and they get to be the ones to drive the program. So it, helps with those social skills. It helps with a bunch of things. So
Yeah, nice.
yeah, thanks.
All right. Thanks, Nicole.
Yep.
Okay, so that segues into my part of the presentation. And I think for me, I'm slightly different from Nicole and Nikki in that I don't have, right now my own classroom. So my role is I go in and do lessons 3 times a quarter, or I actually am in charge of teacher PD. So this is kind of my journey, providing teachers with resources that will help them to be more confident, I think, about integrating computer science, because like we've seen earlier today from all of our experiences, it was very minimal, right? How much education we had from our teacher education and coursework. So one of the really helpful and useful things that I have found has been Boot Up. And I know because it's associated with Amazon and our engineer and our program, some of you probably know Boot Up. So this may be more of a review for you, but I've found it to be super helpful to share with teachers, especially classroom teachers who just have no idea where to start when it comes to integrating computer science into their curriculum. So Boot Up is a free platform and it's designed for elementary teachers with little or no computer science teaching experience. And we're going to kind of just really quickly go navigate to this bootuppd.org to look at their website and how it's kind of laid out. So I'm going to switch the what I'm sharing. And so when you go to bootuppd.org, you get here, and then we're going to go to teachers. And then in teachers, it's split up by Scratch Junior, which is what Nicole just shared with us. So I'll just really quickly click into Scratch Junior. There's tons and tons of lessons where if you are like, I want to share this with my kids, but I have no idea where to begin. It starts with step 1 and it breaks down the lessons into pretty much by the minute. And then so we're going to go back to teachers, but today I'm going to show you the Scratch side because Nicole kind of shared about Scratch Junior. So I'm going to be sharing about Scratch, which is made by the same developers, MIT, but this one was more focused on grades 3 and up. So when you click into either Scratch Junior or Scratch, it takes you to all these lessons. Now, when I click into a lesson, it's all split up by these different tabs. So this project overview is one that I will always use. It helps me see kind of like the end goal, like what I want my students to get to. And then I have to think through and read the lesson plan to think, okay, how am I going to get them to this end goal? But it's really good because it helps us visualize kind of like what the project is supposed to look like. But you also keep in the back of your mind that, because it's computer science and no two projects are ever going to come out looking the exact same, it's really just a suggestion. But that is the watch this first. Then in the at a glance, you're going to have the overview, and then each of these expands. So the objectives and the standards, the CSTA standards, then you're going to have the concepts and the practices, the blocks that are going to be used. And I like this because I can share the blocks by name with the kids because I feel vocabulary is important. So it's the name of the correct name. Here's more vocabulary if you want to share that with the kids ahead of time, and then connections and resources. So that's all in this at a glance. Now the project sequence is like the lesson plan. So it's the step-by-step lessons, the lesson pacing pretty much down to like the minute. And it's very flexible. So I use sometimes I replace some with other things, but what it does is it gives you, especially for teachers that are not super comfortable with teaching computer science, it gives you a very broken down guide to instruct and to teach students to help them get to that end goal, which was the video that we watched. So we'll watch the video in just a second. So that's the project sequence. And then you have the extended learning, which is like ways to extend the project, differentiation for different levels, and then unplugged. So how could you teach them the concepts without a screen, right? And then reflection and sharing. So this is new to Coder Resources. Oh, that's pretty cool. That's a new tab. I haven't seen that tab yet. So what I like to use a lot is this overview video, which we'll watch in a second. And then it used to have the lesson plan, but I guess now the lesson plan PDF is within all these different things. So like example projects, you can watch different people's projects. But I like to watch the video because it helps me see like what we're going to end up with. So we'll watch it quickly. Do you guys hear the sound? No, I don't know why. Mm. You don't hear any sound? Mm. I don't know.
If you're watching this on YouTube, go ahead and like,
Oh,
subscribe.
okay.
If
That's
you're not
fine.
watching on YouTube, you could.
Okay, so sorry, I take out my earbuds.
That's okay.
So every single lesson has that video where you're going to see, like a ideal lesson. Okay, so I'm going to go back to this one. Okay, so that's Boot Up. So Boot Up has helped me tons. And a lot of times it's because I just have no idea like where to begin. Like I kind of know how to use Scratch, but I'm like, how do I turn it into a lesson? That's something that the kids can do. So I've used Boot Up a ton. And then so sorry, that's what we just looked at. And then this is the video we just watched. So now, oh, after I explain, sorry. So Scratch tends to be better for older students, grades 3 and up. However, sometimes you get the kids that are younger, grade 2, that really are very advanced in coding and want a challenge. You can definitely use it for those guys. I like to use it grade 3, second semester, and then on. So from 4th grade, because they've been introduced in 3rd grade, I start it from 1st quarter. But in grade 3, I don't introduce it till 2nd semester because 1st semester is introducing them to the vocabulary, doing some code.org lessons, etc. And then we put it all together in 2nd semester and they do a project in Scratch in 2nd semester. And it's unlike Scratch Junior that's left to right, Scratch is top to bottom, but it's also block-based coding. And I think has the option to do actual typing, but I don't use that at the elementary level. We use all block-based, and it is available in the browser. So it's browser-based, but it's also available as an app. So I have it installed on iPads, and we have it installed on our students' Chromebooks. So that one tends to work a little better because when you use the browser-based version, they have to remember their login, which is sometimes the biggest challenge of the whole lesson. So we like to stick with using it on their device, and they have an assigned device since we're lucky enough to be one-to-one. That way they just open the app and it's still there, whatever they created. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to very quickly do a super simple project. So we're going to navigate to this online version right here of regular Scratch, I'm sorry. And your page should look like this. If you're not attached to the
Oh, I just put it in.
oh, thank you, perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so it'll be in the chat if not. So we're going to do a very simplified version of that video we just saw, and we're just going to animate a letter. And then you can imagine, at each letter you could do something different. But we're just going to, because of time today, we're just going to animate one letter together. Okay, so we're going to go to this Scratch website and we're going to go straight to Create, which is up here next to the word Scratch. Okay, and every time it opens, it offers these tutorials. So when I'm teaching, I tell the kids, okay, let's just close these for now. However, they're very useful for when the kids start to work on their own, because if they have an idea and they're not sure how to execute it or how to do it, if you click on this tutorials thing up here, it has a whole bunch of different things. Like I want to make my letter spin, but I don't know how. So I tell them, okay, look into the tutorials and see if there's something there. And when you actually go through the tutorial, it walks the kids through, it tells them which blocks to use, etc. But when we start together, we just start with a blank workspace. And I always ask them, so this is the default sprite, which is Scratch Cat. So if they're not using Scratch Cat, we delete the sprite, which we're going to do today. So we're going to delete this sprite. So it says yes. Okay, and then we're going to add a letter. So you guys can pick a letter. It can be the first letter of your name, letter of your last name, whatever. So everything that we add that we want to animate is called a sprite. So we're going to add the sprite down here using the cat face. So when we click it, and then you can filter up here and say letters. Okay, so I'll just do first letter of my name, which is a K. But I also tell the kids, if you don't like the color or the way it looks, don't worry because you can change it. So I'll just pick this K. And this K goes into my project. Now, at the same time as I'm teaching, I also tell them it's very important to pay attention to this up here because that's what you're coding. So when you have just one sprite, it's easy. But as you start to, I'll just show you an example. As you start to add sprites, when you click the sprite, you're adding code to that specific sprite. So I tell them to start to make it a habit to double check that the sprite that they're coding is the one that's up in the corner. Okay, so I'm going to just delete this one. Okay, so there's different ways to change the way the K looks before we think about animation. So we're gonna go to this costumes tab over here. And this is a very pretty simple like paint, interface. So if you want to change the color of this bubble on the outside, you click it. And then in this fill color, you can slide, changing the color. Okay, you can also do ombre, which this is, of course, my kids, every time I use this, this is their favorite. So you can do ombre and you can pick the two colors there and you can slide to make it look different. So this is always the time when the ones who are staring off into space, they see that, they go, wait, how'd you do that? Okay. So once you do, you can also do paintbrush and change the color of the paintbrush. You can, this one's a little trickier, but kids nowadays are so good with their trackpad. I marvel at what they can do. But this one I'm using a mouse, but you can imagine how tricky it gets with the trackpad. So I give them time to explore and to, dress up their letter how they want. And then we go back to code here. So we're going to go back now. Now we are going to actually learn to animate the letter to make it move and to make it autonomously do things on its own. So this is where we go over kind of like how do we make it start because we need a trigger or an event block. So we go to events and we have all these different options. So I just usually when I'm just start teaching, we always just start with the when green flag click because that's saying that when I click the green flag, my event, that's going to trigger my code to begin. So we do that. And then today I'll just teach a simple glide. So I tell them to think about where do you want your K or your letter to start when you start your animation. So I wanted to start here. So go ahead and move your letter to the position you want it to start in. Okay, and you're gonna notice when I move my letter around, my coordinates change. So this is a coordinate plane, basically, X, Y. Every time you move it, the coordinates change to show where it's going. So a little trick, if you move it to the place first, and then you look at your go to or your glide to blocks, it will match the coordinates. So for example, I want it to always start here. So when I pull out my go to XY, these two coordinates are my XY is gonna match the XY of where the K is. But I tell the kids, now let's say you change your mind, actually I want it to start up in the corner here. These coordinates are not gonna change to these. So I have to physically go in and type the new coordinates that I changed my mind to in order to tell it to come up here at a starting position. Okay, so what this is saying is that when I click the green flag, my K is going to move up to the top corner. Now I want it to glide down here. So go ahead and move yours to where you want it to glide to. And we're going to make sure that our coordinates in this block glide 1 second to XY, match these coordinates, which they should if you move the letter first. And then you're going to pull this glide block out and attach it like a Lego. Okay, then I want it to slide across the bottom. So I'm going to move it again. Same exact block, glide 1 second. And then I want it to end here. So I'm going to move it again and then pull that same block out. And if you're not sure, you can just double check that the coordinates match, which they should if you move it first. And now the magic. So you can test individual sprites by clicking on this block stack, or you can test your whole program. So as you start to add more sprites by clicking the green flag. So I'll just click the green flag and then you notice that it did that completely on its own. So we programmed our letter to move around. So that's just one of the animations. And like I was explaining, as the kids do their name, I encourage them like, okay, I'm not going to be here all the time. And sometimes the classroom teacher can't help them. So I say, okay, look into the tutorials, decide what you want it to do, and then follow those things to make your other letters do different things. So that's just a very, very small, fast taste of Scratch and what it can do. But I've seen even in elementary school level, kids have coded like entire games that have multiple scenarios. Like you win if this, or if this happens, you might lose, but you might also do this. And it's crazy. I have no idea how they do it. So it's pretty cool. They really they're way better than I am, like a lot of them. But so hopefully you enjoyed that mini tutorial. These are some links on that will help you if you get stuck in Scratch. So the wiki is actually really good. That is like it's like a Reddit where people just dump like their ideas and their questions, and lots of people respond and help and all that. So I like the wiki. This information about all the blocks in Scratch, that's like detailed information about what every block does. And now, Sumin was talking about microbits. Now, these external computing devices also have worked with the developers of Scratch, and there's new blocks that match those devices when you go to more. So it's crazy. Like Scratch, there's a lot you can do with Scratch. And this is a link to the lessons in Boot Up. And then these are a couple of my personal lessons that you can look at, you can copy, you can do whatever you want with. But what I've done with my students this year. So those are some links. And then I'm just going to show this video. So this is one of my students, a fifth grader. With this one really ran with it. She did a great job. So her name is Aaliyah. And so just thinking about like the code that we had to do to just make one letter move, that really a few seconds, how actually extensive her coding is to make this whole animation happen was very like, I was like, wow, that's amazing, Aaliyah. So like I said, like the students will totally run with it, and then they'll come up with amazing things. So, and that is on to Nikki.
I am going to tell you a little bit about Minecraft education. I am not an expert, but I have gotten really good at just facilitating and telling the kids if they have a problem that they are going to work together, because they have way more experience than I do. So this is just a little introductory video about Minecraft. Can you work on the volume, Chrissy?
Sorry, I muted
okay.
myself. Let me.
That's okay.
Okay, can you hear it?
We are born learners. We crave new challenges and new adventures. Our creativity is limitless. And when we learn through play, amazing, often unexpected things happen. In schools and in homes around the world, students are using Minecraft to build cities, explore coral reefs, to create with code, run science experiments, and to tell fantastic stories. Minecraft has always been about exploration and discovery, bringing together a global community of co-creators. Now, the next generation of engineers, biologists, and designers are inspiring us with their creations. Minecraft Education Edition empowers learners to solve problems they care about, to connect in new ways far beyond the classroom, and to build a better world through the power of play.
Thanks, Chrissy. You can go to the next slide. So whenever we do Minecraft, I kind of pump the brakes before I even let them in, because they get so excited to get into Minecraft and being in each other's worlds that they forget that there's curriculum behind it. There's a reason behind it. So we do prerequisite research. Our textbooks, we took notes, we did a blueprint sketch. And so all of this shows, the background knowledge that they need in order to even access the world. Go ahead to the next one. This is an example of one of my students who went above and beyond, and it's a video, but I'll talk through it. So you can just press play, Chrissy. So this is a 3D view. He was really inspired after learning about the Jamestown colony, and he took his home. I did not teach him how to do this. I don't know how to do this, but he was really inspired, after I took him through the textbook and made him kind of lay out what his plans would look like. He took it really seriously. Even down to like the types of crops that they were allowed to plant, the types of animals that they were allowed to have, how the structures were built and like where the fires are. And, I talked about like, do you have windows? Where is your glass from? And so they would kind of build these structures, but then they would go back and they would change it based on, trying to make it realistic. You can just see like the amount of like detail and creativity. And when kids are in Minecraft, I've found that they really do try to be authentic. I haven't had problems with them, just trying to, paint their houses pink or have elephants in Jamestown. Like they really want to do the social studies learning justice. And it's been kind of one of my favorite things about teaching social studies in the gen ed classroom is just being able to integrate it with computer science, because so often social studies curriculum is, read the textbook and take a test or write a paper about it. And the engagement has been so much more when they are able to combine it with something that they're so passionate about. You could pause this, Chrissy. I'm going to show you one more. If you go to the next slide. One of the best things about this also is that students would plug in their laptops to my dock and they would present their worlds to the class. And the kids loved that, just being able to see their creations. They'd ask questions. And so that was like a really proud moment for him to be able to show the class like what he had been working on so hard. On to the next slide. This is another example that I did with my fourth graders this year. And I kind of took it a step further, knowing that some of my fourth graders had not used Minecraft education before. So I made this longhouse planning sheet. We're learning about indigenous Northwest Coast people. And I made this kind of set of blocks at the bottom to mimic what the screen looks like, knowing that they're going to have to choose specific blocks to use in their world. Go ahead to the next page. I found a screenshot online of like the different types of blocks. And we talked about, what kinds of things are going to be authentic in our world. We're not using magenta cloth in our native village. We're not using TNT. So they were really intentional about, using planks, fences, doors, stairs, beds, and you can see how they would, draw and label the materials that they'd use. And then they'd also list it and draw kind of a blueprint of that. We'll go to the next one. Again, students aren't just mining the research that they had to do in order to make these worlds authentic, the realistic tools and features. They really, I thought they really did a good job of being true to what an Indigenous Coast longhouse would look like in a Minecraft world. After I did all of that work and, back planning, I was playing around and I found that there's actually a Pacific Northwest Coast experience that was already built. And so I will be using this next year, but I'm just showing this to you because on the next slide or in the next couple of slides, I would love to give you a chance to see what other kinds of opportunities are out there. You can go to the next slide, Chrissy. You can just see like all the learning objectives. Like Minecraft has dialed it into like how long it should take, different things to think about, just objectives and things to think about. It talks about the grades that this would be appropriate for. You can go to the next slide. I'm not going to play this for you because I'm going to let you go to the next slide, Chrissy, and give you a chance to take 5 minutes. You can turn off your screens again, but I want to give you 5 minutes just to take a look at Minecraft's library. And when we come back, I'd love for you to share if there are any lessons that you were inspired by, if there's any lessons that surprised you or anything that you noticed during your exploring. I'm going to put the link in the chat in just a second, but go ahead and turn off your screens. We'll come back at 5 o'clock to do a quick share out and then wrap up. Hi, welcome back, everyone. Thanks for taking time to check out Minecraft. I wish I knew the answer. I know that Minecraft EDU is something that is paid for by our district. It's through our Microsoft program. I'm not sure how far you can go into exploring the lessons and trying it out before the trial will end. So I know that Zoe was asking that. I kind of think that I don't think it's like free forever. I'm so sorry. Was anyone able to find any interesting lessons or anything that surprised you that from the lesson library?
There you go. Found something on arrays, but I couldn't access the lesson.
Yeah.
So I was kind of stuck.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. Is that Anastasia?
Yes, it is.
If you if you're with, I know we have it like in our install software. If you go through there, you can like actually install it. But
You go into the educational system.
yeah, I'm sorry about the hiccups with trying to get into
That's okay.
to the lesson library for everyone else.
I checked Clever. I didn't see it on our Clever either.
I think it might just be through our like system softwares.
For strategic industry, and then you have what you call it.
Thanks, Craig, for taking a look at it. Go ahead and go to the next slide, Chrissy.
First, with thresholds, be lower to about 7.
Kind of for our closing, we just
So
hope that you felt inspired by the different kinds of lessons that we talked about today with Boot Up and Scratch Junior and Minecraft. And just answer one in the chat. Is there something that you might be willing to try with students? Has this changed the way you think about computer science and or computer science education? And if you don't work directly with students, how has something that you learned today changed your thinking when it comes to decisions that you make that will affect students? If you could just choose one as our closure, we would love to hear from you in the chat. Or if you want to pop on and just speak, that's also welcome too. Access the array lesson. I'm going to look into that for you, Anastasia. So wants to use Boot Up as a resource in the future for some cross-curricular ideas. I love that.
I think that, thank you guys. I think you guys did a great presentation. It'll show me or give me options to help my students after the AP exam because they're always looking to play games and challenge each other so they can go in and do that. So thank you.
Awesome. Thanks for
Yeah,
sharing,
that's great.
Craig.
Yeah, my daughter's in 7th and they're actually creating games in their science class in Scratch. And so she's like, Mom, have you heard of this website called this thing called Scratch? Can you help me? I was like, oh, I can actually, that's one thing I can help you with. I can't help you with your math, can't help you with your other stuff, but I can help you with that. All right. Thanks, guys. Okay, so we just wanted to really thank you that we understand, we know that this is a long presentation and you have lots to do as we all have tons on our plate at the end of the year. So we're just really grateful that you chose to spend the last hour with us listening to our presentation. And all three of us really enjoy collaborating. We think, that's where we learn the most from you, from other teachers, and learning from one another is something we love to do. So please don't hesitate to contact us if you have any ideas, suggestions, questions. We love to network. But we're very grateful for your presence today. And we hope that, everyone was able to take something away from the presentation. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, everyone, for being here.